All right. Hello, people. How's everyone doing? I know it's StreamYard. I know we have nameplates, but it's easier than trying to cobble together whatever. Oh my God, what was I using? I was using ping.gg, and I don't know if that service even still exists. So, not taking a chance. Anthony, how are you doing?
Good. It's been so long since I've heard that 30-second countdown.
Right? I was wondering, where's everyone getting these countdown utilities? Oh, I know where. I've had the same
Yeah.
one on my stream. It was for Astra 1.0. Someone made like a space age background, and I just went to their code sandbox, deleted the word Astro, and wrote starting soon. And I just embedded that website. So as long as his code sandbox is still up, I have a starting soon screen. I should
There you
forget
go.
at the very least, but nope. You make
Gotta
do.
save your code. You don't
Oh,
want to
yeah.
have code floating out in the world.
Yeah. Well, I know you're doing a lot of stuff. Are you getting back in the content game, the streaming game, any of that stuff?
A little bit. Currently freelancing and doing content for a couple different things. I'm doing like general application building and streaming for Dash, which is a cryptocurrency. And
Yep.
then I'm also writing articles for Everfund, Chris's company, because
Nice.
they're like expanding out and creating a blog and all that. So yeah, I quit Edgeo a couple months ago and have just kind of shifted to kind of doing a little bit like people like Jason Langsdorff and James Q Quick, who either were like laid off or kind of just were deciding to move on from whatever role they were in, were like kind of just do this like as a general freelancing contractor
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that's what I'm trying right now, and so far it's fun. I like having kind of more freedom and control over like my schedule, my workloads, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been really interesting, and the reason why I'm doing stuff like this because I just want kind of now that doing things on my own, I'm going back to that kind of mindset. Before I had a job where I was like creating a lot of content for FS Jam and just streaming a lot because that's kind of what kept me sharp and like kept
Yep.
building relationships and gave me a lot of good content to chew on for other things. So it's like just getting that flywheel going again. You have a really good kind of content flywheel. You've kind of kept up streaming, I think, more than a lot of people who started streaming over the last couple of years. Like I know around 2021, a whole bunch of people started doing it, and a lot of those people, who create like whole shows and brands and stuff, kind of like either fizzled out or are, like, yeah. But yeah,
I agree. And I know a lot of it is just there's not much money in live streaming. I don't do that kind of thing either. Like I haven't pursued Twitch partner. I don't have a regular stream schedule. It's just an excuse to hang out with the nerds that are usually around and we build stuff. And then whenever we build becomes actual videos that I can package, get sponsors, whatever. It's a better flow, I think. But yeah, if you were trying to keep up the production value from Twitch in like COVID years and expect the same return now, like God, that it's not there. There's no way it's still there. I struggle to find time to watch Twitch streams. Really, I will hang out with cool people, but watching like the Primogen and stuff like that, like no, I just can't get anything done, and they're all streaming during work days. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, everyone streams during the day. Yeah, there's a couple. I think like Nikki T's is one that I still tend to watch, and I like the ones that bring on guests and kind of like demo just like new stuff because it's a good way to keep up with new things. But yeah, it's just there's just so much content in the world, it's impossible to actually watch it all.
There's too much. Yeah, and I'm trying to find a niche there too. Because I don't watch the standard walkthrough videos or tutorials. I don't know about you. I think you actually did learn a lot of things through well, you did a boot camp, but I don't know if you also do like the courses and video tutorials and stuff like that. Because I just
video tutorials were never super useful for me because it's like you could follow. Actually, I should say the one that actually I followed along with the Redwood video tutorial actually, and that was one that actually kind of made sense because they just took the tutorial that they'd had built out in the docs and he just like filmed it, and so I kind of watched that And since it was a really good docs experience put into video form, that was pretty easy for me to follow. And that was one where I kind of like reverse engineered it by watching the videos. But before that, I had like MERN courses and stuff like that. And the boot camp itself was
Yeah.
a lot of video content. Even if it's like a live teacher, it's still video content at the end of the day. So for me, it was like once I actually started writing content based on the things I was building, that helped. I found that, and you've talked about how I have legendary readmes. I think is what you said once, because I would
I did
always
say that.
write I would write the tutorials and like kind of the docs in tandem with building the thing. So it's like I could
Yeah.
never get anytime I got to a point where something worked, I had like written docs to explain it, and that was a way for me to like organize my thoughts. And so I found that by doing that, that helped me kind of actually start building things in a way where if I was just following along with a video, then it's just like you're kind of just copy pasting stuff and don't really know why.
I know that's the problem. After like 10 minutes, I just go off on my own adventure and do something completely different, and I abandon the video. Then I feel guilty because every tutorial I have is half watched, and I'm like, you know what? Just remove it. I don't need that in the history. I got my half. I only needed half before I took off and did something else. I feel like that's fine.
And videos, they get stale, and you can't
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's not easy to just jump around or like skip parts, and so just docs are really the way to go. I feel like.
Yeah, I get you. And speaking of videos and docs, you sent me this thing, and we're gonna at least try it because I'm very fascinated with anything creator or YouTube related. I also called this stream AI Stro, assuming AI and Astro were involved. I don't think that's a good title, but
I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, there's a way we can work Astro into this actually, because the high level description of what's happening here is we're using a couple different tools to you basically start with a YouTube URL, and from that you end up with a generated markdown page with front matter and a transcript and chapters and a summary, and all of that kind of basically spit out in one go. So for me, the reason why I wanted to build this is because I've done so much content that's like video content, audio content between podcasts and just video streams like this. And I never paid for like a good transcription service, which some people, they just like pay for it and they can get all the transcripts they want. It's like, what is your experience in terms of like actually trying to transcribe content? Have you ever tried to transcribe any of your stuff?
I've done it once and never again. I do transcriptions for my shorts because short form, you need the transcript baked into the video for people who don't have their phone audio turned on. But I can only do as much as that. Like I use TikTok and CapCut, which is a really good transcription service. It's way more accurate than Descript, so I just gave up on Descript and said, nope, TikTok got it. They know how to do tech terms or for some reason, like Webpack. It knows the word Webpack. Like, wow, I can't believe this. So that's what I use. It generates it, I tweak it, and we get the video out. But for anything longer than a minute, no, thank you.
What's the one you used called?
CapCut. That's the full desktop editor. It just takes the TikTok mobile editor and puts it into an online thing. It's free and it's really good. I actually use CapCut as like step 2 for every video I do because they have stickers and overlays that are more social media friendly.
Yeah, some of the chat saying probably using OpenAI Whisper, and that's what I'm gonna show here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the transcriptions you get from it they're like 99% correct. So if you really wanted to post the transcripts, you do have to do some manual editing, and it doesn't do speaker identification. But for you do mostly solo content, so that's actually not as big of an issue.
Yeah.
But what is good for is, since it's accurate enough, you can use it to feed it to an LLM like ChatGPT along with a prompt that tells it to generate the show notes. So if you don't use the transcript itself, you can generate like really high quality chapters and like topic headings and timestamps and do all of that. And then you could either clean up the transcript and use it or just throw it out entirely.
Yep. Yeah, I want to try that since I already see the parallel. You said markdown front matter. I'm thinking Astro content collections. I got my YouTube videos. I can dump all the info in there and I can make this indexable thing that I can turn into a website. So yeah,
Exactly.
I want to try that. I capped us at an hour, and I know we started a bit late, so like 50 minutes from now, we would probably be the end of the stream. So did you want to lead this?
Well, where did you get to? Were you able to download the model?
Right. I ran the command, the bash and the make, and I think it succeeded, but I have no idea.
Okay,
I'll
then
share.
you should share your thing, and we should just give it a go. If that's the case, you should be able to just run the example command. There's the example is a playlist of 2 videos that are just 1 minute each, so that it'll run through the whole thing pretty quickly, because it takes, maybe it can do, I would say, maybe like 5 minutes and a minute of audio. So like you're gonna be spending like multiple minutes per, if you have an hour-long episode, it's gonna take like 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe to actually transcribe. So one thing you can do is basically just set it up overnight, like let your computer run, and it can just transcribe for like 8 hours straight, because it's just a model running on your computer. You're not paying for anything. There's no like server, there's no API key, there's you're not paying for anything. It's just basically you just run it on your machine.
Yup.
Okay, so the commands here is you're cloning in Whisper CPP, and that's the C++ implementation of Whisper, because the original Whisper library is Python. It's like ridiculously slow. And then the bash is going to build the specific models. So this is the large version 2, and there's technically a version 3. When I used it a couple months ago, it was like all buggy and weird, so that's the one I've been using now. But basically the bigger models are more accurate, but they're like way bigger. You can get a smaller model, which will be like less than a gigabyte, but it's just crappier. So it's like, for me, if you're gonna be doing this anyway, you want the highest quality transcriptions that you can get. So I just use the largest model.
Okay. So that should mean I have a whisper.cpp inside of this folder.
Yeah. So you should just pop it open in like your editor.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Yeah, and you don't want so you want to stay in the root directory so you don't want to actually open up in Whisper CPP, because there's the AutoGen repo, and then there's Whisper CPP inside of it, and there's also scripts that are parallel to the Whisper directory.
Yep. And I think I clone this alongside the other directory instead of inside. What is it called? Yeah. 1 second. AutoGen.
It's just called AutoGen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to basically, you just take that and just plop it into AutoGen. Just drag it in. Yeah, or move it.
CPP into.
So the question in the chat is, what are we building? We're building an automatic show note generator using Whisper and any kind of LLM you want. I've been using Claude recently, actually, because it seems to give the best results right now.
Yeah. And you got your content right here. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so go to the README. Let's just try and run it and see what happens, and run the example right there.
Let's take a look. If I just ran this, it's this simple. What is this playlist? Incomplete data. Oh,
don't worry about that. That's gonna
YTDLP. Yeah.
Yeah, you can suppress that. There's a no warnings flag you could throw, so it doesn't do that. But it also might be struggling because you're streaming at the same time. But hopefully, I'll work it out eventually. So while that's stewing, you should. Oh, there it goes.
It did something. We have a lot of information.
You should open the terminal wider so you can see what's happening a little better.
Oh, I wasn't even going to try. So we've got.
So it runs
Matrix.
First, it runs a command with YTDLP to extract audio and get a WAV file that then is fed to Whisper. And so right now, Whisper is running on a WAV file, and it's creating a transcript. And then that transcript.
Oh, look at it go.
Yeah, and then that transcript will be concatenated with a prompt that will be what you will feed to like ChatGPT or Claude or something. and then it'll also use YTDLP to get the pieces of metadata, so like title, date, images, if there's like a cover image. Yeah, so this is the prompt
Yeah, this is the
that
prompt right here.
yeah, so I have a couple different prompts I created. There's like one that will also create like 5 suggested titles and like 3 like key takeaways, and you can have like a 2-paragraph summary instead of 1-paragraph summary, like all this kind of stuff. You can kind of tweak it however you
Yep.
want. You can say like what are like good next topics off of this as well. So this is a fairly bare bones one. This is just giving you a 1-sentence summary, which you can use for the meta description, a 1-paragraph summary, and then chapters. And the chapters is the thing that I've found this to be most useful for, is creating like good timestamps and figuring out what the different sections are. And if people want to jump to a certain section, because they're interested in a certain topic, like this is something that really high quality podcasts and YouTube streamers and stuff, they always have like that's like one of the first things that they do when they put their content out, is they have like really good kind of timestamps and stuff. So it's not exactly perfect, like to the minute. Sometimes you'll have to kind of like move it around so like gets it to get the exact right spot, but it generally captures the good shape of like what the topics are, and just gives you kind of a good breakdown. Okay, so it looks like the command worked. So you have
we got some stuff.
Yep. So do you pay for ChatGPT?
Aha.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do now is what do you use for like an LLM? Do you have like a subscription to ChatGPT or anything like that?
I do. Yeah. So are we looking for an API key?
No, I'm saying you could just. So what I do is I just copy paste everything below the front matter, and then just paste it right in ChatGPT and just like hit go. Yeah.
Oh.
So the whole prompt and the transcript. And this is only a minute long, so it's going to be not a lot of text.
Okay. So what did the script that we just ran accomplish? Did it generate these?
It did the transcription, yeah. So it was fed a WAV file, which came from the YouTube URLs. So there's 2 videos here, and it's creating the transcript, and then the transcript plus the prompt is what generates the actual show notes. So there's a step here that I'm going to add at one point where I'm just going to hook this up to OpenAI's API, and it will do this all for you. But that is something that you pay by the token. Whereas if you already have a subscription to one of these services, you can do as many of these as you want. Like they cap you at a certain point if you do like 20 or 30 like in a row. But basically that's how I've been doing it. I just kind of create this, and I copy paste it in, and then it'll give you a markdown output that you just copy paste, and then I copy it back over the prompt, and then that will be the whole thing. So this is the kind of the little hacky part right here that can be made smoother with like API keys and stuff right now. But you should just copy paste this whole thing and plug it into ChatGPT and see what it gives you.
All right. Because I know YouTube also generates a transcript. So what's the reason I would want a direct from Wave instead of YouTube? I can think of a couple reasons.
I think it's just higher quality in my experience, but you should make sure you're using ChatGPT 4, not 3.5.
I don't have 4, I don't think. But
you don't have a ChatGPT subscription then. So let's try Claude instead.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, let's try their free version. I think their free version will be better than GPT 3.5.
Yeah, I've been meaning to try it for code completions. I know that that's where it's strongest. All right, it's going. Phone number.
It's also useful to set up this way, because then if you want to do this for podcasts and it's just a bunch of MP3s, that's not going to have a YouTube transcription, right?
Right.
So this is more flexible for lots of different types of content, not necessarily just YouTube videos. It's kind of optimized for just give a YouTube URL, because most people have content on YouTube, but with just a couple modifications, you could give it a podcast RSS feed instead, and it will just run through every single MP3 and do the same flow.
Right. And it could do it, because I would like everything prepped before I upload a YouTube video. If I could just feed it in while I'm exporting a video even, and I just have to watch, it would work totally fine.
Yeah, and if you use like the YouTube API, you can also have like a whole write flow as well. So you could just automate all sorts of other pieces as well.
Yeah. I'm going through the welcome right now. I'm just speed running this. Okay, I'm starting to chat with our main man, Claude. So if I just put all this in,
Yeah, you just plop it in and then hit go.
it
If
says
it's
haiku at the bottom.
yeah, that's fine. If it's larger than a certain amount, it will not actually like copy paste. It'll just like attach a file to it.
Gotcha.
Cool. So you can just copy that.
This
The
whole
copy
thing?
button. Yep.
I kind of want to read it. Let's see here. Well, I don't know the original video. If we could point it at one of my videos, this could be possible. Because
Yeah.
my
So
video is
let's
1 minute.
yeah. The problem is this works better with longer videos. So let me real quick.
Yeah,
I
for
already
chapters.
transcribed.
I get it.
Yeah, I already transcribed a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna plop one of these just into
The conversation covers the importance of creating
like a gist.
Yeah, because I can share my use case at the very least on my current little whiteboard. Yeah. Well, I will wait for you first instead of derailing.
No, you're good. Continue what you're saying. I'm gonna push a repo real quick that you can clone down. So this is where this will connect with the Astro stuff.
Yeah. Because my original website, Whiteboard the Web, this was using content collections with markdown files. I've changed it to just be a direct call to the YouTube API, so I can just redeploy it whenever a new video is up. I don't have to have any webhooks for it. I could go back if there's any useful reason to have a local file, because the one thing I have up here is search. And it works pretty well for key terms because I have hashtags that match whatever you're trying to do. And it just searches through the hashtags and titles and descriptions. But if it had a more robust description of everything in the video or a full transcript, it would be way more searchable. And I've seen crazy examples where it deep links into the second where I'm talking about the thing you just searched for. I think that was Tejas. I always say his name wrong, but he demoed something like that. And if we have a transcript, then we can do that kind of thing too. Probably not on this stream, but gears are turning.
Let me send you so clone down this repo. It's an Astro site, and with this I basically took all of the main videos on your current YouTube page and ran it. It's like you only have like 6 or 7 videos because you also have live videos and then you have your VOD account as well. So your content's spread around a whole bunch of different stuff. So just this is using just one of the templates. This is the template I built my own blog off of, so I'm super familiar with it. But just clone it down, install dependencies, and run it, and you can kind of see what it looks like with some of the content actually populated. It has like your Dan Abramoff interview is in there. That was like a 3-hour long thing.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely train it. That was something where it's like this will never have a transcript ever, but now maybe it could. Hey,
and what's really great
is
if you do get to a point where you just like have all of your content transcribed with all these things, then you can feed that to a vector database and actually ask questions about like your content. And that's what gets really interesting. That's what I haven't gotten to that point yet with any of my stuff. So I'm not really sure what stuff I would ask it to like actually get useful information about it.
Yeah.
It'll kind of give you back like what you talked about, your topics and stuff like that. So like that's nice, but I'm still trying to figure out like a use case for that.
Yeah, because for instructors in areas like web development, it is appealing to have someone who can answer questions instead of you in a Twitter DM. Someone that can go off and speak the way you would speak. But it's very risky when AI is early here. So big push and pull. It would need big asterisks all over the place. The Astro Docs could benefit from such a thing. We do have an AI bot for that.
You have an AI. You're one of the first ones to build that, and I'm sure it was absolute trash because people are just figuring out how to do that. But if you've been working on it since then, it should be pretty good by now.
Yeah, I don't know how much we've followed up. Oh, look at this cactus site. I like that hover.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
nothing has been
here we
changed.
are.
I just plopped in the
Oh,
markdown. So yeah,
look
so
at you
those
go.
are
Yeah.
what's up on your YouTube right now.
Yeah, let's click on this. 20-minute read. Yeah, 20-minute watch. I like
Right,
it.
yeah.
Oh,
And
wow. So the
there's a
minute
couple,
read is roughly the same as the video length. Because I remember it being
yeah.
maybe like 18.
And there's things you can do if you want to, like you could take the, because the front matter includes things like the show's URL, you can also just create like an embedding so you can have the video appear right up top and pull that in from the front matter. And
Got
so
it.
you also like use cover images as well, do a similar thing. So once you have the front matter from the that you get from YTDLP, that's where you can kind of like turn it straight into a website blog page like this.
Right. And what were those properties again? Well, I can just crawl this repo, can't I?
So go up to, so open up the autogen.sh file. So I went through a whole bunch of different ways of trying to do this. At one point, I tried to like do the whole thing with Node, and Node would execute like the YT commands and the Whisper commands, but that didn't really work out super well. So it ended up being like mostly a Bash script with like
Yeah.
one part where there's a Node script that does like some transformations, but what it's grabbing is it's grabbing a whole bunch of stuff, and then the
Oh,
echo, it echoes it out with the show link, channel, title, publish date, cover
totally.
image, all that stuff, and then it prints the what you got from the YTDLP commands.
Yeah. Got it.
And
So
then it
we're getting the
runs
WAV.
that.
We're
So that
putting
gets
it in.
the yeah, and then that runs the transcript, and then the transform that basically takes the, because Whisper can create a bunch of different types of files with different formattings, and I basically just took one that was the closest to what I wanted the transcripts to actually look like, and then just did a couple
Yeah.
of transformations on it. So this is, it removes the first line, which has like Whisper CPP written on it, and then it merges every other line, because when I was first doing this, the context windows weren't really large enough. So if I had like a
Oh,
2 hour long video, it might
yeah.
crap out. But if I could remove half the lines, and then it's like, it's not really that much more text, it removes some extra tokens because you have less
Gotcha.
timestamps that way. So this might not be as necessary. I could probably cut this out entirely just for kind of like simplicity, but this is a thing that just kind of cleans up the transcript
Yep.
a little bit.
You should have written this in Bash too. Skill issue. Man.
Yeah,
Outsourcing it.
so
JavaScript.
what's funny is most of this actually was using like ChatGPT to like build this out. So
Yeah.
I was not very good at like shell scripting stuff previously, and so I've learned how to do a lot of this through building
Yeah.
this project. Actually, this is the first time I like built a massive ass Bash script like this that does a whole bunch of stuff at once. And it's like pretty, it's kind of fragile. It's like
I
there's a
get
lot
it.
of things that can kind of be
Yeah.
extracted out to make this simpler. And if you
Totally.
comment out the RM1, then you'll see every file that's created along the way as it gives you a WAV file, then the transcript
Got it.
file, then the modified one. So yeah.
Cool.
And then this part is what loops over. You give it a playlist instead of just, because in the tutorial I have a blog post where it first shows you how to do it with just an individual single video, and then it adds on a loop where you can give it a playlist URL, and it basically
Yep.
takes that, prints a file with every URL for each video, and then runs each of those through the whole autogen function.
Gotcha. We have this block up here. So this is process URL. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So you just loop over every video in a playlist and you
And you see you
extract
created a
the info.
urls.md file in your content. If you click that, you'll see there's just two URLs written to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's kind of your output if you want to embed YouTube videos as well. We do have this. So
It's
the show link's
included in
already
the show
here.
link. Yeah. So the show
Yeah.
link is in there. Yeah.
So I guess URLs isn't super necessary.
It's just necessary. That could also be, you could add that to the RM command and delete that at the end as well. Right now, it just kind of stays there.
I see. Gotcha. So if we go back over here, this is, if I wanted to run this as part of my build, I could run autogen I guess I could put my content directory into git ignore, so it just kind of generates this directory without it getting too noisy. Actually, no, I can't do that at all. It definitely needs to be part of it.
That's the way it's set up in my repo. Is
Yeah,
there's just a git keep file in there, so the content directory stays there, but
totally.
it actually doesn't commit any of that. So yeah, there's a couple steps where you'll like have content that you need to kind of like get into your Astro project somehow. Those could be combined in some way at some point, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's definitely use cases for this stuff. I don't know if I would use AstroDB as the source for this as well, since I don't really need a markdown file with the whole transcript. To me, this is just side stuff. I don't really need it published anywhere. Some people do, but I would kind of just need all the metadata that's scraped out, an episode summary, and some other stuff. It doesn't really make a difference though, because I can show you what I would end up with if I went the AstroDB route. I would probably have db/seed in here, and this is just export default async boy.
Yeah,
and this would call AutoGen ideally, and it would write some database entries. I feel like that could be possible. But that would be like being able to call your script from JavaScript, and it's intended to be more of a build time command. Am I right about that?
Yeah, because it depends on you having the transcription model on your own computer. So there's ways around that if you want to use OpenAI's transcription endpoint instead. They used to have a setup where you only give it 15 minutes of audio at a time though. So you had to like chunk your thing into like you had to split it. Like I was like, no way. It's like it's gonna be so much more work. So I'm not sure if that's still the case. And you can actually take Whisper CPP and like deploy it as a server also. So you could host your own thing, your own endpoint, transcription endpoint, but then you're managing a server, obviously, and that's not necessarily simpler. So right now it's just set up to where you just run it on your own computer and it kind of just like handles this business. And there's a couple different ways you can kind of go out from that if you want to make it more user friendly for people who don't necessarily know how to use CLIs and stuff like that.
Yeah. And to clarify, I wasn't saying I want a runtime version of this. I guess I meant just a JavaScript callable version. I could easily call exec and do the same thing, because seed is run through the Astro CLI. Said you also have access to the full AstroDB suite. So instead of this writing to files, it would return all of the information as JavaScript objects, and I could use those to write to a database or write my own files or something like that. So it doesn't have to be a markdown output for me to use it.
Right. Yeah. And you could use the YouTube downloader to just get like a JSON file that gives you all the metadata at once.
Yeah.
And you could just dump that whole thing in your database. Then you just have it all and it is there. And then you can parse that data out however you want.
Yeah. I mean, we're just dealing with data right now. We can massage this however we like, because we're literally staring at the source code. I'm not like reading your docs and seeing a feature is missing. Like all the power is here at the moment to do something weird.
Yeah, totally.
So is anyone else using this yet? Or have you found like killer app? What is the killer app for this thing?
So I am using it actually with Dash, because they do a weekly stream called Incubator Weekly, and for that it's usually like an hour-long show. And if you look at like previous episodes, they just have like 1-sentence description. And I found a specific Reddit message where someone was like, "Could you give a summary of this so I know whether it's worth watching or not?" It's like, what's it about? And I'm like, this is the perfect thing. You just want a general like boilerplate description of what is actually the content in the thing. Yeah, so click like the most recent one.
Yep.
And then open up.
That's familiar.
And then open up the description.
Totally.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
see
yeah.
there's the summary and then the chapter headings, and so that is
Cool.
exactly what we were seeing created for your stuff. I don't use the full transcription. I'm just using the timestamps, and then that, because YouTube is very smart, it actually uses those to then
It
create the
does.
chapters instead of auto creating the chapters. Which the auto transcripts are probably pretty good, but the chapters I'm never really sure how good those are. I haven't really
Oh,
tried too much.
I didn't know they would generate chapters for you. And you're very
They yeah.
complimentary of this. I think this is the scrappiest solution ever. I thought there would be a different way. But I was like, oh, you just dump it in the description? Okay.
Yeah, right.
I guess I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's if you're, just doing like a video a week, it's the couple manual steps are not a big issue. If you're gonna be doing like lots, like if you're a channel that puts out like 8 videos a day that are like, kind of shorter videos, then it might make more sense to kind of build something in to where I'm not sure if YTDLP can also write if you give it permissions or not. I've just
Mhm.
been using it to read data. But I
Yeah.
play around with the YouTube API. What's up, Nikki? And yeah, it's just like a little bit too complicated for me, where it's like not really worth it because I just hate having to deal with like registering a whole API setup with like a key and then like a Google account. It's just like a whole thing.
I know. Yeah. So I've been talking about places I would use it in theory as like an engineering, I'm glad this exists, but in practice, stuff that I would want for the masses. The main thing for me is just transcripts that understand developers, because YouTube is a very
Mhm.
general model that gives you transcription, but it doesn't know all of the common developer terms. So you have to go through and
Right.
fix SQLite, which it thinks is like sequel, the movie, and then
Yeah.
light,
Mhm.
like, light Coke or Diet Coke. It's just a problem. So if this was tweakable to say, hey, I'm a developer, our buzz terms are these words, it would be great if it said SQLite every time and Tailwind CSS is one word, that kind of thing. If that was part of this, then, oh man, a transcription that understands me instead of just a general one that I hope works. That would be game changing, probably. I would actually put transcripts on my videos if that existed.
Yeah, I know that there's ways with Whisper where you can kind of like pre-feed it a prompt. So you could
Yeah,
possibly do that with like just some of your content, like will include all of those kind of terms and whatnot. I found that usually it's pretty good just out of the box. The things that actually struggles with more than anything is just people's names. Like if
oh, true.
like there's times when instead of like Ben Holmes, it would be like Brent something, like Brent Ohms or something like that, because
Sure.
it doesn't quite know that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's some of the stuff where there's kind of ways to, like, low level manipulate Whisper CPP for stuff like that. The library can do a ton of stuff, and
For
you can
sure.
also like modify its parameters to be like better for predicting certain terms and whatnot. But I haven't really messed around with that too much.
Yeah. That's probably something that I need to play with on my own to at least know what Whisper can do. I like that it's this local model that I can pull in, because I'm always skeptical of things that are just API endpoints and monthly subscriptions. If it's small enough that I can clone it, which it took a second, but if it's small enough to do that, that's kind of a win. Is that kind of your dream scenario? If you wanted content creators to use this tool, they are going to have a local model?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I've set it this way is just for myself, because like I can use it as much
Totally.
as I want. There's no cost incurred at any point, and
Yep.
unless you're paying for whatever you're using to actually generate the show notes with the prompt. And
Yep.
we used kind of Claude's free version, and there's other levels we could go
Let's go
to, or
back
we
to that.
could also include steps to like run a Mistral like open source model, and then you can even feed that and run that kind of locally like you would Whisper. So that's something I'll probably explore soon, because the open source models are getting pretty good and comparable to what you get from like a free the free stuff. The problem is the paid stuff like paid Claude and paid ChatGPT are still like way better than anything else you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So the best way to kind of do this setup is to actually just have a subscription and then feed those in directly. Otherwise, you need to use their API, then you pay by the token.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'll actually subscribe to one of these. It's clear that I don't follow up on AI stuff, but I know between the two. Do you have opinions on Claude versus GPT? I know like blanket strengths between the two.
Yeah, I mean, right now ChatGPT is more multimodal. Like it can generate images, and Claude
Yeah.
now can understand images. You can feed it images, I think, but and then Claude can't search out to the internet, so ChatGPT can do like web searches. So if you want
Oh,
to
okay.
ask questions like up to date things, that's good. Claude though it can take larger inputs, so you can feed it like really long transcripts, like 3 hour long transcripts, or ChatGPT will kind of crap out after like an hour and a half long transcript. In my experience, so there's pros and cons to both. I think in general, if you just want to pay for one, I would recommend ChatGPT, even though Claude
Yeah.
has some advantages. They're going to be close enough, and ChatGPT is going to include a whole bunch of other stuff, and just more people are going to be familiar with it. But if you're someone who uses these tools a lot and like are really interested in staying up with the cutting edge stuff, like I subscribe to both of them, and
Fair.
they're both $20, and like they save me so much time. It's like
It's
absolutely
not a
worth every.
problem.
Yeah, it's really such a, when you consider how much we pay, like just domains, like you pay like 10x that just
Yep.
for a domain for a project you're not even like using, so
I know.
it really seems quite silly to not have at least like one of them.
Yep. They're all
Nikki's
loss
asking,
leaders. There's no way they're not.
yeah, and Nikki's asking, Claude's a bigger token limit for calls. Yeah, so there's something
Yep.
called the context window, which is it used to be like a year ago when these things are first coming out, it was like a couple thousand words. Like you could give it like maybe like a particular, like a long blog post, and that's about all it can handle. Now it's up to like hundreds of thousands of words, and it's just getting to be so ridiculous that
Yep.
Gemini also, I think, can go up to like 1 million. Or so you feed Gemini an
Jesus.
entire book, and it can kind of like take it in. At a certain point, though, it kind of loses resolution as you give it larger and larger things. So I find
Yep.
that if you do have like a 3 hour long video, if you feed it an hour at a time and ask it to create chapters, it'll create better chapters if you kind of give it all at once. Or if you give it all at once, then ask it to like go over it again, like redo it. So like first time
Yep.
it'll give you like 5 chapters, and each will be like
Mhm.
a half hour long. You'd be like, you redo this, make twice as many chapters, and then it will create 10 chapters that will be like 15 minutes long. So you can kind of work with it. And yeah, with all
Yeah.
these things, you just kind of have to experiment with them and see where like the sweet spots are.
Right. You have to find the sweet spot of how many times do you have to redo something. It's just like
Mhm.
doing a second coat of paint over whatever uh text you're trying to get out. It's weird just asking, are you sure is enough
Mhm.
to get better chapters.
Yeah. And like one little trick I do is, I haven't automated this part, but there's a way you can grab the actual length with the YouTube downloader. And so if you paste that where it says note
Oh.
the last timestamp, and say it'll be like hour and 17 minutes, like whatever random amount it is, and say the chapters have
Sure.
to go to that, then it will know to create like chapters to go all the way to the end. Because one thing it does is if you give it a really long episode, sometimes if you give
It
like a
just
2 hour
gets
long
tired.
video, it'll create chapters up to like an hour, and then it'll just be like, that's the end. You're like, that's not the end. There's another hour of video.
Literally me though. That's how I do every edit. It's like, that doesn't need a background. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is all really cool. I know at least for like short-term engineering, my goal is to have something more searchable here than just doing stuff based on hashtags. So
Mhm.
could be a reason to try it. Also deep linking because well, I mean this search is really simple. It is just going over the entire dump of all my front matter ever and
Mhm.
finding just string concatenation. But if this was
Mhm.
in a database, searchable with SQL using the like operator and had deep granular transcriptions so you knew which part belong to which
Yeah,
time.
for these,
It
since
can
it's
get
only
way
like a
better.
minute long, you wouldn't create chapters, but you would just create like you'd have a transcript, and
Yeah,
you'd have a summary.
transcript.
You'd do like a one sentence summary, a one paragraph summary, and then you could have just like a searchable summary of every single episode along with the transcripts.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, if I'm going for searchability that deep links to the exact second something happened, I would probably just want to dump the transcript. I don't even know if I need the summary. The summary would be good for the YouTube description. So I have something
Mhm.
here. I hate
Yeah.
writing these because no
Mhm.
one looks at the YouTube short description. Most people don't know
Right.
there is one. So if that
Yeah.
was just done, that'd be sick.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff it's good for.
Yeah. And also, is there, well, I know the answer. I can run this against my local videos before I upload, right? Or
So
I could do
yeah,
that.
so you could run it against basically the way the YouTube downloader is set up. So that command right there where it extracts
Yeah.
audio
Right.
format, that one you can feed it like all sorts of stuff. You don't necessarily need to feed it a URL, you can feed it a link to a file. It doesn't need to be
Yep.
necessarily a video. It can, you can feed it just like MP3. It'll turn MP3 into Wave. It'll turn MP4 into Wave. It'll do whatever it needs to do. So really, like that CLI tool like enables so much of this entire workflow. It's really pretty insane.
Gotcha. So just out of curiosity, I'm going to drag a video in here and I'm just going to see what it does. I'm going to I'm trying to figure out how to hide what I'm doing because I hate opening the Finder and then everyone sees all my crappy downloads. There we go. We'll move it over here. I have a whole bunch of videos. Which one do I want to do?
Asked where they could find the repo, and I plopped a link in there for you. Yeah, there's instructions to install YTDLP and FFmpeg. Just has like through
Totally.
command utilities, and then you'll have to download the Whisper repo, build the model, and then run the make command, and then you should be able to do everything with right now it's set up just take playlist URLs. If you follow the tutorial, it will get you to a point where you can do just kind of videos. I need to kind of create like two separate batch files. But like if you want to just do a single video, you can do this. But the way I kind of build out,
Yeah, exactly.
it shows you how to build on. Then once you get to the end, it's like here's how I do it with the playlist. It's like you kind of lost the ability to just do it with the URL. Hey, it's a fuzzy bear.
Hey, Fuzzy Bear. So I am obviously really confident and I know everything about Bash. So this is going to work. No problem. We're going to say process URL right here. We're calling the single gen. The name is the single gen. And we're going to ignore all of this because I don't care. I am just trying to get the bare minimum info out of this thing. So we'll see what happens. Instead of doing this, because I already have a file, and this is from a very, very exciting upcoming video about Cloudflare.
The
I have
file's
intro
not going to
audio.
be the file's not going to be set up for Whisper. It needs to be Wave, and it needs to be a specific amount of like bit rate or like sample rate or something really specific. So
sample rate. I was going to say I can change the format.
I was saying you should bring back the last command that you just deleted.
But it's not uploaded. This is unreleased content.
No, so you can get rid of like the echo stuff and all that.
Totally.
That's fine. But you want to leave the YTDLP extract audio command.
I just wanted to work with local files.
No, I'm saying this is work with local files. So I'm saying that's you run the local file through that command because that is the command that will turn into a WAV file that Whisper can work with. Because Whisper can't work with like an MP3 just because the way it's set up.
Yeah. I totally get you. I didn't think I could just feed a local file into this, but great.
Yeah, this might not be the exact correct syntax, so we're gonna find out what's gonna happen. We'll probably have to check the docs.
I could probably just run this myself, couldn't I? Let's find out.
I mean, actually, oh no, I know how I would do this. You wanted to choose FFmpeg by itself. You just run FFmpeg on it, and then that will set it up for. Hold on, I think I actually used to have this in the tutorial. Let's Yeah, I think I ended up taking it out.
Did it actually? Oh my god. Okay, so it knows about WAVs.
Okay, there you go. So that file is what you'll feed into Whisper now.
Yep. Oh, this is unedited audio. Let me find stuff that's actually edited. I'm like, am I cursing myself out for saying a line wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and it will generate the words of whatever it is you feed it.
Yes, it will.
There's no moderation like ChatGPT. It'll transcribe anything.
No, it won't. Okay, well, I have the full video, but that might take too much time. How long do you think like a 13-minute video would take?
A couple minutes at least.
Okay, that seems okay actually. So if I just had an MP4, which I do here, this is the perfect way to tease a new video. You can't watch it. You can just see the transcript. But if I wanted, so we don't need to change the form. Oh yeah, we do. I would think I would feed this to YT DLP though, because I have an MP4. And I'm just going to do that. Well, not a WAV. I'm going to do something else. We'll do that. Oh, God. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was strange. I wonder. I don't know what to say about that. Args. Typing this out to at least understand it myself. So this will be
and then the output template is how you give it a unique name based on the ID of the video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could just hard code the name in like that.
Totally. So this is located in scripts/FCP. Nice. Let's see what it thinks. Nope. Yeah. Set default search. Oh, okay. Okay.
Or run put quotes around. Wait, what do you? Yeah, put quotes around the file. Yeah,
we'll start there. Nah.
Yeah, so right now it's trying to take. So we want to just run FFmpeg on it.
Yeah. One last thing, because it's using URL formatting. My web dev brain tells me I could put file : and it would work, but I have no idea. Nah, I was hopeful. Oh, interesting. File URLs are disabled for security reasons. Oh, we're getting somewhere though.
Hold on, I can find the exact
can't do that
command we need to do with FFmpeg. I just have to go through my Git history real quick.
Yep. I of course just coming up with things that we are not prepared to do. But
that's something I used to know how to do this, but then I got rid of the instructions.
I could get the absolute path. So if I went to repositories, autogen, scripts, no. I have a feeling it has to be it has to be the absolute URL. So y'all are going to see that info, but that's fine. Ah, dang it.
Okay, so here's...
Oh!
What?
I think we did it. We shoved it through.
Okay, for those following along at home, here's basically the kind of command you would want to do.
Well, I bullied my way into a solution with YTDLP.
So go back to the command you ran. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I ran extract audio, all of that, and then I said default search file, enable file URL, and as long as it's an absolute path, it works.
Okay, that's funny.
Totally fine.
Yeah, probably says not.
You should just use FFmpeg though. Yeah, that was fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so
I found that there's a lot of things you could hack around with this tool. It has a whole section of like commands you can do, where it's like you really shouldn't do this. You should probably do this.
Yeah.
So it's like all these different ways to do stuff.
Yep. So at this point, why am I even tweaking the bash script? Let's just run things. If we have a WAV, we can run it against Whisper. And that's kind of it. What is the OF flag versus the F flag?
So that's what it outputs. So it takes in a file and then it outputs a file because it outputs an LRC file. So it takes the ID.wave and then it turns that into the ID.lrc, which is the transcript file that it outputs. And you could you could do like a JSON file, you could do a VTT file, you could do just a text file. There's a whole bunch of you do CSVs if you want to like turn it into a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet. That's awesome. Output lurk. Let's see it.
Yeah, it looks like it's doing it.
Yep. So we'll let it do its thing. We're on a M1 processor trying to stream video to the internet. I'm sure it'll be fast, but we can watch it. Oh, look at that sizzling and slurping sounds. That's actually SpongeBob's boots stepping up to the stage. Yeah. Why is nobody talking about Cloudflare? That's what it is. The easy mode button to deploy any Trello clone with 0 users on the internet is nailing this so far. It's capitalizing for cell as a proper noun. GitHub, proper noun. Absolutely killer. Why? Okay, what? It's supposed to be USPS, the mailing company. But it pretty much nailed that, even though I cut off at the end. It's probably because of the cutoff. I just want the cloud with no headaches. I think of for sale like Trader Joe's. We all know they're packaging other goods with a fancy brand.
Yeah, I thought you tweeted that comparing to Trader Joe's.
I as I was working, I was like, I'm going to tweet things to see how hard they resonate by just not saying anything else. I think it resonated okay, but not great.
I think a very specific type of person knows even what Trader Joe's is.
This sadly true. We'll see how it gets recognized in the video. Someone said, yeah, this is going to be a problem for the India viewers. And yes, it is. But we're going to let it ride because the right people, it hits. I like that kind of humor where it's selective, but it hits hard for the people who know.
It's true.
Okay, so it's working, though. That's so awesome. And I like the live feed to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so if you don't give it the output LRC flag, it will just print it to the terminal and not do like anything with it. And there's like 7 different output flags you can give it for the different file types.
Gotcha. This is great, though. If anything, I'm going to take this Whisper CPP and just run it on things. Because I can see this just getting uploaded to YouTube as is.
Honestly, I'll do this now with just like certain channels that I follow, or like news channels or just like developer channels. I'm just like, I don't really want to watch this 10-minute video. I just want like a really quick summary of like what it actually is about. So sometimes I'll just run this through like random stuff I would have like watched for fun. It's interesting to see what it comes up with.
Yep. Oh, it got SQLite as a word. YouTube would never get that. Absolutely never. That is awesome. I thought I'd have to train that. Look at that go.
Yeah, I need to try the version 3 model again also, because if that one is working good now, then it might be even more accurate. Who knows?
Yeah, I should have asked, where did you pull the dump for whisper.cpp? Is that something clonable? Well, I guess we did just clone it ourselves, didn't we?
I'm giving instructions where it's literally you're just cloning the repo, so you can just go to that GitHub repo and just look at it. It's just a GitHub repo, yeah.
I can just gaze upon it.
The bash command, which downloads the model, that is using, I think, just Hugging Face, like places that host giant models that you can download.
Right. That is so sick. Yeah, offline voice assistant, why not?
Yeah, so if you want to take what I've built and modify it, you'll spend a lot of time in the Whisper CPP and YTDLP readmes. They both just have a giant readme with all this information. And there's a lot of stuff they can do.
Yeah, the most complex thing I've done with DLP is download sections, because sometimes I need a specific sound effect. And I'm watching this 3-hour video, or maybe it's a song loop, and I just find this one sliver And you can just say download sections, timestamp, and it downloads exactly that part of the video. It's
That's
so
funny.
good because I thought I'd have to download the 3 hours, but you don't. It works totally fine. You could probably do that for live streams as well if you just need one part of the video to be
Right. Or if you
searchable
wanted
or
to
just
like,
cut.
or if you wanted to cut out like the first 5 minutes and just
Right.
like intro music where there's no words to transcribe.
Oh, that too. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could condense it to the part that needs transcription.
Yeah.
You should probably just cut out your intro music from your video, though. You should probably do that. I don't, but you should probably do that. All right. Well, I'm going to take this once it's done and put it into you. Does this
9
go
minutes?
into YouTube? It's not done yet. It's supposed to be done at like the 14-minute mark.
But then after that goes through, I would recommend running the transform script on also. So what that does is it removes the milliseconds, I think is what it is.
Oh,
So it's,
yeah.
Or yeah, because it gives you minutes, seconds, but then it also gives you milliseconds, which I'm not sure if that will create correct timestamps on YouTube. I don't think it would. It might though.
Right.
You have to kind of check that. So part of the transformation it does makes it a little more friendly to be auto linked in YouTube if you just copy paste it in.
Got it. And this is the magic flag that's giving us this format, output LRC?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So there's probably a bunch of formats that you can get out of something if you wanted it.
Yeah, if you in the Whisper docs, it gives you all the different outputs. So you scroll right, you're scrolling right past it. So right there you have output text, VTT, SRT, LRC, JSON,
Nice.
CSV. I think that's all of
Got
them.
it. Karaoke video? Oh man.
Yeah, so that's like where it lights up the words as the time is going by, so you can like
for sure
sync up with it. So
yeah,
that's fun.
I love that
because some of these are actually like caption formats also. So if you want to sync this with a video, if you want to create actual captions, that's the thing it does as well. So I'm not really doing right now, but that's another thing. If you actually want to like use this to create accessible subtitled videos and you don't want to just use YouTube's auto generate things, or if you have a video that's not on YouTube and you want to do this, it can be used for that.
Sweet. All right. Well, I will go off on my own adventure learning about that. But as we're trying to sort of land the plane here, is there anything that I should share out to the chat for people to go look at just to see the stuff you're working on or to try this project themselves?
Yeah, I mean the GitHub repo and the blog post, which I've shared both of them already, but I'll drop them in there again.
Yeah, just drop it in the chat and I can highlight. There was a question, not a real question. Did it say SQLite? No, it said SQLite, the real thing. My dream. Yeah. But it auto-generates show notes and then auto-gen, which is the raw thing. So show notes, I don't even think we looked at that repo. Is that
this is the blog post? So what this does is this takes you step by step where it's like, here's the YTDLP command to get the link. So it just explains that command. It's like, here's the Whisper command, do the transcript, explains just that, explains each flag, and like walks through this, and it builds up the script piece by piece, and then it kind of explains it in a way that's hopefully comprehensible.
Yeah, because you were my docs today, and I was thinking, where is the Anthony step-by-step guide?
Here it is.
This isn't authentic. Yeah, I thought that was github.com, but that makes more sense. We got the full thing. All right, well, you piqued my interest. I'm actually going to do something with AI, especially since it's local. I don't have to pay anything. So mission accomplished, I think.
That's pretty much what I was going for. So we'll see. We'll see what you do with it. I'll be curious.
Yeah. Y'all will see more of this, and also tune in for the video, which will now have a really good transcript. So accessible, shareable, searchable. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we're way over time, so I think you gotta get out of here.
Yep. Well, we stopped, or we started late, so I thought we should run the full hour. But this was freaking awesome. Always welcome on the stream, obviously. And people can find you, AJC Web Dev, everywhere. Twitter, GitHub, etc. and I'm whiteboard guy. If you just search that, I'm sure the SEO is terrible, but you can try. Okay, I don't know how to raid people on, I don't think you can do it on StreamYard, so I'll just do it manually somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can raid the Primeagen. That's easy enough. I bet if I go to Beelm's dev chat, I can do that. /raid. Nice. Oh no, my keyboard's locked again. I think there's something. I think there's something in my keyboard. There's some ghost. The Primeagen. There we go. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on, dude. I'll see you around the interwebs.
Yeah.
We'll keep it up.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone. I'm actually afraid to end stream until I know the raid went through. This is so complicated. Raid now. There we go. Nice. End stream.